Did you know that the original character of Rudolph didn't have a red nose? He was also almost named Reginald. What? Hey guys, Ducky again. Happy Wednesday! Are you ready to keep learning about the Christmas story? Yesterday we learned that God chooses to work through people. And we learned about Mary, who was Jesus' mom on earth. Pretty crazy that God chose a person, just a regular young girl, to be such a huge part of his plan. Today we're going to learn a little bit more about Joseph, who on earth was Jesus' dad. He has a bit of a crazy story because he was supposed to be married to Mary. The thing is that if you weren't married in Bible times and the woman was pregnant, the man's responsibility, the thing he would have been allowed to do, would be to divorce her, to leave her and not be in a relationship anymore. And so we know that Gabriel had gone to Mary and said that you are going to have a baby. You are going to become pregnant because God is pleased with you. So we knew that this was a good thing. Mary wouldn't have understood it. It says in the Bible that she was afraid and confused, but at least she knew that it was from God. Now here's the thing. Can you imagine being Joseph? Gabriel didn't go to Joseph right away. He was super confused. He had no idea what was going on. And so let's read about his reaction and then what happens afterwards in the Bible. We're going to jump to the book of Matthew for Joseph's part of the story. Remember, the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all tell a lot of the same stories because they were written about the same time period. But certain authors wrote about different parts of the story. So to learn more about Joseph, we're going to jump over to the book of Matthew. I'm in Matthew chapter 1, starting at verse 18. This is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah came about. His mother Mary and Joseph had promised to get married, but before they started to live together, it became clear that she was going to have a baby. She became pregnant by the power of the Holy Spirit. Her husband Joseph was faithful to the law, but he did not want to put her to shame in public, so he planned to divorce her quietly. But as Joseph was thinking about this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. The angel said, "Joseph, son of David, don't be afraid to take Mary home as your wife. The baby inside her is from the Holy Spirit. She is going to have a son. You must give him the name Jesus. That's because he will save his people from their sins." All this took place to bring about what the Lord had said would happen. Can you imagine being Joseph? He didn't get that first visit from the angel. Only Mary did. And so it took a long time before he knew what was really going on. During that time when Mary was expecting a baby, but he didn't understand why, he would have had a really hard time understanding what was happening. We know that it was God's plan for Mary to have this baby, but Joseph didn't know that yet. He definitely was a believer, and he would have trusted in what God was saying, but he certainly wouldn't have understood what the plan was. This brings us to today's big idea, that God's plan doesn't always make sense to us. Have you ever felt that way before? Like you're not sure what's going on? Like you don't understand how this could possibly be part of God's plan? The thing is that as believers, as followers of Jesus, we know deep down inside of us that God's plan is for us. And I believe that God's plan is for us even when it doesn't make sense to us. Even when we don't understand what's going on, we don't understand how this possibly could be a good thing, even when we're missing pieces of the puzzle. Can you imagine trying to finish a puzzle if you were missing half the pieces? It would be impossible, wouldn't it be? That's kind of like God's plan sometimes. We don't get all the pieces right away. We don't have access to them. And there's no way for it to make sense without the pieces. Here's the thing though, it's not up to us to decide when we get those pieces. And until we receive all the pieces from God, until he's given us each one in his time, his plan might not make sense to us. Gabriel the angel going to Joseph and telling him, "Don't worry, she has become pregnant by the Holy Spirit." That was like Joseph getting one more piece of the puzzle, so it made a little bit more sense to him. Life is a little bit like this sometimes. We feel like we're missing certain pieces of the puzzle, and you know what? You might be. But it doesn't mean that those pieces are missing forever. It just means that you don't have access to them yet. And that's what we're going to learn about tomorrow. How do we get those puzzle pieces? How in the world are we supposed to understand God's plan? For now, though, even when we don't understand it, we can rest in the knowledge that God's plan is for us. even when we don't understand it.